Hey, how's it going, network team? This is once again Pay It Forward. I'll be here, Brandon Carpenter, Air Force veteran, joined today with our special guest, Steve Allen, Air Force veteran and now supply chain manager over at Kirby. Thank you for joining with us.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, Brandon.
No worries, no worries. So, a lot of times we do these pay it forwards for if it's first time tuning in. A good opportunity if you're getting ready to leave service or already out of service and you're thinking about, hey, what's my next steps? Opportunity to see from those who are already walked that path because there's nothing new under the sun, and a lot of times you're able to pick up some good key nuggets throughout this process. So, Stephen, I kind of want to jump right in. I want you to, if you allow us to tell the viewers about your story. A lot of times when we're in service, deployed, we talk to each other and we're like, "Hey, so why did you join service?" So I want to ask you, what brought you to join service?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say I was about 21, and I found out I was going to be having a son, um, and I realized that I was not prepared. And honestly, that's what pushed me to join service. I figured I needed to get my life together, and went and talked to a recruiter. And 6 months later, I was headed off to basic training. And I originally joined in tactical air control party for the Air Force, and like many people, that didn't work out. I got injured and cross trained over to aircraft maintenance. I spent my first 5 years at Tinker in Oklahoma City. And then after about 5 years, I got out of there. I got to go to Kunsan, Korea for a year, which, Kunsan, it's not the better base in Korea, but it's still pretty awesome experience. Korea is an amazing place, has amazing culture. After that, I went over to Luke in Phoenix for 2 years. And after those 2 years, I decided to Palace Chase and go over to the National Guard. I separated early, went over to the National Guard until I just separated from the National Guard back in September. Moved back to Oklahoma for good. So,
Okay, I appreciate you sharing that, and I totally understand it. Life throws us curveballs. So, did you already have an idea in your head at a point where, hey, I'm getting ready, I want to transition out, or was it something that happened suddenly for you?
yeah, so I was really hesitant to even re-enlist after the first time. It just, the Air Force is great. It brings a lot of great experiences, but it also brings a lot of challenges.
Mhm.
I was a single father for the first 4 or 5 years, and that proved pretty difficult. And then after that, I met my wife, who I'm still married to today, in 2015, and had a broken family, and that just made it really difficult. And so I think I just, I had it in my mind for a while that I wanted to get out, but I wasn't completely prepared.
Mhm.
So I went ahead and re-enlisted, got my college degree done when I was in Korea. I actually finished my bachelor's in Korea.
Mhm.
And then as soon as I got back to Phoenix, I started that process of trying to Palace Chase.
Mhm.
And I thought it was more kind of a pipe dream. I didn't think I would get approved.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, yeah, one day it was just kind of sudden. I got the approval, and then next thing I know, I'm trying to figure out how to find a job. So yeah, I think that something I could have learned there was, before you ever apply, you need to have a plan in place. You
Mhm.
probably need to have your resume together and have an idea of what you want to do and where you want to go in life, which I did not. And then
Mhm.
you're kind of scrambling to find it after that.
No, yeah, no,
Yeah.
100%. I agree with you. Having that, I think the military, good and bad, right, is in a sense of you kind of told what to do, when to do it, so things
Yeah.
are in place. You don't have to worry about it now. Oh shoot, I got to
Yeah.
figure out my life, at this point
Right.
in time. So no, I understand that. So what was it like for you doing that transition piece when you're going out and trying to find those jobs?
Mhm.
What did you see any difficulties, or were there any strengths of you being a prior service member that benefited you during that process?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely difficult getting away from the military jargon and the military speak, and learning how, civilians uh, phrase their resume or word their resume or even interview. It's a completely different world.
Hmm.
So I think that was the biggest learning curve for me. And the way I did that, I'm not somebody, I don't take no for an answer. I don't just sit down and accept failure. I just keep going until I achieve what I want to achieve. So I was going to job fairs. I was reaching out to people on LinkedIn. I was sending my resume out. I was looking for mentors. I was asking for criticism on my resume. Um, I was, I was doing research on how to dress, how to interview topics. And I'd say it took, I probably the first month that after I found out that I was going to separate, I probably applied to 200 jobs, and they were, anything from regional vice president to director of operations to, general manager. I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff. Didn't have any real direction. And that's when you realize, when you're just shotgunning your resume out there to all these jobs with no structure, you don't have any idea of where you're aiming, you're not going to get callbacks. A lot of these jobs get hundreds of applicants per job. So you have to really understand what you're after and what your skill set is. And I think that one thing I see a lot of veterans do is they sell themselves short on their skill set. So, for example, in aircraft maintenance, people think automatically, well, I'm in aircraft maintenance. I can either go be an aircraft mechanic, or I can be an electrician or an HVAC mechanic or a diesel mechanic. Those are all great careers, but they're not for everybody. People pigeonhole themselves into those. Well, I dug deeper and tried to look at the deeper skills I had. I had a lot of process improvement in the military. We were trying to improve our processes, make them more efficient, make things safer. And I had leadership skills. We had to lead people from very diverse backgrounds from all over the world, different family situations, different places in their career. A lot of times people that I was supervising were older than me. So I took those skills, process improvement and leadership, and I've made that into my career now. So I've been in 4 different positions since I separated. I started out as a service manager for a John Deere dealership, pretty large John Deere dealership. And then I was there for a couple of years, and then I went on to Amazon. I was an operations manager at Amazon. And then I got offered a job as a director of operations for a company. They had about 5 YouTube brands that they had started producing and creating product, and they needed a distribution network set up. So I went on there, and then that's when I finally ended up where I'm at now as a supply chain manager for Kirby. But they've all been in different fields. I have some agriculture, I have some distribution, I have some e-commerce, and now I have oil and gas. And so the way I've been able to go into so many different fields and still succeed is because I've taken those baseline skill sets, process improvement, people leadership. So really I can go anywhere now.
Oh, wow. And you really hit on some good nuggets there. And I want to dive a little bit deeper too into specifically talking resume actually. So is there anything that you've learned throughout your time applying for those different roles that will be beneficial for the team when they're getting out there and they're pushing their resumes out there in the field?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think when we're in the military and we're writing our EPRs, our annual evaluations, they're pretty finicky. It's quite different than writing your resume. You can't have any blank space. Spaces have to be a certain way. You have to have certain abbreviations and so on. Well, the good thing about your resume, you don't have to have those abbreviations in the white space. It doesn't matter. You just fit the information in there as good as you can. But the positives you can take from writing EPRs or evaluations in the military is the structure, what you did, how you did it, and what you achieved out of that. So, I still start my resume lines typically with an action verb, created or produced or whatever that might be. And then you end it with a metric, a number. I like to end it with, increased productivity by 40% or increased revenue, $250,000 in a year. So you can take some of the things you learned writing evaluations in the military and translate that to the outside. You just have to be careful not to use any of that military slang or those military abbreviations. Just use normal words.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I can tell you spent many of nights probably over the coffee pot during EPR season.
Oh yeah, many hours doing that, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely. They went to I guess narrative writing now for EPRs.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Hopefully it's more effective and efficient for everybody. I'm hoping that it saves some time. A lot of man hours were spent on that. So
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And nowadays you got Chat GPT out there that can kind of formulate stuff for you.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, but that's really good. That's really good. So, and along the lines of resume writing, so you definitely want to get your take on this one. So, I get this question asked to me from some veterans and service members, folks who are looking job seeking, and they ask me about cover letters. I want to see your thoughts on cover letters. Do you think they're a good thing to have, or do you think it's not necessarily needed?
Yeah, this can be a controversial topic on LinkedIn. I see this a lot, and one recruiter will say yes, absolutely have them, and the next will. Speaking from my experience, I've never included a cover letter on any of the jobs that I've been hired or interviewed for. Um, and in saying that, since I separated from the military 4 years ago, I've doubled my salary from when I was in the military,
Hmm.
and I've never used a cover letter. So I don't think that they're necessary, and I think that some recruiters see them as just something else to sift through.
Hmm. No, I
That
can.
that'd be my opinion.
Okay, now I can see that, and I mean, I think the data's there. You can achieve a position. That's not necessarily with it, but it depends on the company, right?
Yeah, I agree. I always look at the requirements. If they ask for a cover letter, of course, but if they don't ask for one, I would never include one.
100%. So going past that too. So your supply chain manager.
Mhm.
Are there any particular certifications? Let's say if a transitioning service member is looking to get into the same field that you would recommend they do now to prepare themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a certified supply chain management professional and certified supply chain and inventory planner. You can research either one of those. Those are both the industry standard. And I'd say, 6 months to a year of studying, probably they're fairly difficult tests, but they're the industry standard. If you can get either one of those, and then they do cost a couple of $1,000s. So absolutely, if you can use some of your tuition assistance or any of your benefits while you're on active duty, it'd be beneficial. But if you can get either one of those, you have a pretty good chance of walking into a supply chain job right upon coming out.
No, that's really good, really good. And honestly, I definitely agree with you on that one. And I wanted to ask a question. So, have you've heard about the Skill Bridge program?
Yeah, I actually participated in it. I kind of skipped over that, but yeah.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, it's an awesome opportunity. And so, from your standpoint, being in the civilian side of the house, we try to reach and branch out to a lot of the companies that give them more information about what SkillBridge is. And from your standpoint as a transitioning service member, why do you think it was so beneficial for you to participate in the SkillBridge internship?
Yeah, I mean, so it gives you skill bridge. I'm assuming that everybody that's listening knows what it is, but if not, it gives you 6 months where the last 6 months for your enlistment, the military is paying you, and you get to go work for a civilian company of your choice, somebody that wants to hire you, and the hope is that leads into employment afterwards. But I think what it did for me, it just really let me understand the cultural differences
Hmm.
between the military and the civilian world. And it kind of gives you a free pass to get settled into those cultural differences and start trying to speak business language as opposed to military language. And
Hmm.
then it also gives you a chance to, it's completely free 6 months to see if that's a field you want to be in. So I actually did my 6 months at a software engineering firm as a help desk technician
Hmm.
because I thought I wanted to go into IT, and it was great. The company was awesome. Company was Conexta out in Phoenix, and they've now been bought by Octo. But they were an amazing company, awesome people. But I definitely saw that after that 6 months, that probably IT wasn't where I wanted to be,
Hmm.
and I wanted to leverage more of my skills, my people management, my process improvement skills. And they even let me apply for other jobs and interview for other jobs while I was doing the skill bridge. So I think it's a very very useful thing that everybody should take part in. I would encourage everyone to use it because it can automatically lead to a job. You could have a job lined up 6 months before you get out and just transition right into it. So, yeah, absolutely.
100%. No, you hit the nail on the head for that one. I agree 100%. And if it doesn't lead to that job, just like you were saying, these guys are getting that experience.
Yeah.
It's with me because I was security forces back in when I
Uh-huh.
was so who that was just in born to me. So that's all I was saying. So I had to cut myself out of it. My boss was
Yeah.
like, "What are you saying right now?" So,
That's funny. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, but I definitely appreciate it, Stephen. Is there any last words you want to throw out there to the crowd, the network team out there before we wrap it up?
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is don't get discouraged if you're wanting to separate, and don't let other people in the military discourage you. A lot of that discouragement comes from fear of what they're not going to be able to do. Just be prepared, do your research, have your resume ready, and know what you want to do, and don't take no for an answer. Get out there, go to job fairs. You can go to resume classes, whatever it might be. Network on LinkedIn, start building your network, like, share, comment, talk to people, build relationships. Yeah, that's all I have to say. But I go ahead.
No, I was just gonna agree with you.
Yeah, great. Well, I appreciate you guys for having me so much.
100%. Well, thank you so much, Stephen and network team. There was another episode of Pay It Forward. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you too.